Hi, welcome. I'm Mike Neglia, pastor of Calvary Cork, and I'm here with Chuck Musselwhite, pastor of the Village Chapel in California. He's been visiting us for the past, it's going to be about 48 hours, and he's blessed the church by teaching yesterday morning, and also just by spending some time with our leaders. And I thought maybe to maximize his time here, to do this little interview talking about this important issue of finances. And so feel free to listen in as we talk about this and see how the lordship of Christ extends into this topic of finances. So thanks for making time for this. And so Chuck, why don't you talk to us a bit about maybe the Christian view of money and how we spend it to the glory of God.
Okay. Well, I think the first place to start is where everybody's at right now. And I mean, it's easy to blame the economy or the recession on how people are struggling, but my personal belief is that bad economic times or recessions just expose what was already there. And so what you see is a lot of people who were barely making it during the surplus years are really hurting during the lean years. And the reason being is because they haven't been good stewards of their money. They have spent to either medicate hurt needs. They've spent to overcome any kind of emotional thing. They've done it just because it gives them a temporary high. There's all different types of reasons why people spend their money, but when it basically comes down to it is that we've become a culture that doesn't deny our flesh, and I think it's most evident in how we spend our money, and we really play a shell game, with our money, trying to move some little here, move some there, to kind of keep us above water. But most people are quickly going down because the fact is they think that, well, if the economy was better, or the job market was better, or like that. But I think if we do simple biblical principles that Scripture talks about clearly, that God will not only provide for us, but actually prosper us. And I'm not a big proponent of the prosperity gospel that you give so much and God's going to bless you. That's not it.
Right.
The prosperity I'm talking about is true joy and true peace. And the fact is that what you see people missing most today are peace and joy, and that's because it's usually linked towards their money, and because they're either treading water or they are sinking. But there are people out there that are flourishing because they don't have any debt.
Okay.
They don't. They take what money they have and they not only live within their means, they live below their means. And then there's people who out there who are able to be used by God to bless people by giving, and to bless the church, and to bless those people that are struggling. And so I think that there are several instances that at least that I know of, where people are actually thriving even in the midst of the economy, and it's because they have followed certain biblical principles.
So I would love to ask you about those biblical principles, where someone who maybe is playing that shell game and just shuffling debt around, how can someone go from that to what you're talking about, a joyful, a position of prospering in joy and prospering in just satisfaction, rather than the kind of crushing feeling of constantly feeling like you're at a loss?
Sure. Well, I think that there's you have to ask yourself. The first question is really, where do you want to go? Where do you want to end up? And a lot of people, when you talk about money, they talk about all these goals that they want. They want to have a huge retirement fund, or they want to have they want to get a certain amount of house, or they want to put their kids in certain education. And those are great goals, but I don't see them as godly goals. I don't see them as, I see them as secular, worldly goals, and they really end up becoming nooses. And so I think the biblical question to ask is, how can I give? And you know, and I like to use the scripture and in Acts 20:35 where it says it is better to it is more blessed to give than receive. You know, and the fact is that we're always asking, hey, what's in it for me, or what am I going to get out of this, or you know, how can I get this, or you know, basically, how can I make myself happy by getting these things? And true to scripture, it contrasts that. Because the fact is that, you know, we think that we're going to be happy by achieving all these things, and in reality, what we find at the end is that we're not happy. And so I think that the true joy comes from being somebody who can give. And so that's really the goal as a Christian, is to be a giver. So how can I give? Well, before we can even get to that point, I think that there's a couple steps that we need to go through. The first step that we need to do is that we need to deny ourselves. Okay, and that is, you know, that goes more than just say, okay, I'm not going to buy a coffee at Starbucks this morning. You know, that's such the shallow thing.
Sure.
True denial. You know, if you look at Jesus, if you're going to follow me, deny yourself, pick up your cross and follow me. Okay, so there's certain financial things that you can do to deny yourself. If you're up to your eyeballs in credit card debt, you need to cut those credit cards up. Mm-hmm. That is a physical, tangible step of denial. Yeah. You really need to deny yourself. And it goes even beyond that, you know, maybe switching from even a debit card system to a cash system. Because all of us are people who, you know, if we have a credit card and we have some limit, oh, I'll spend that and I'll just pay it off later. Sure. But if you have cash in your pocket, you're going to be like, if I give that away, I'm not going to get it back, yeah. You know, and so we're less likely to spend. And so that's a great way to deny yourself, is to actually go to a cash system. Our family has a cash envelope system that we budget out every month, and when it's gone, it's gone, you know. But when there's money left over, we just keep going on and building up for the, you know, the future kind of thing. But that's a great way to deny yourself. Other ways to deny yourself is to sell stuff off, or to get rid of stuff. I know in America, you know, big things are cell phones, internet, cable TV, gym memberships. These are all fringe stuff that people actually worship. I mean, they worship their TVs because, you know, everybody has a 55-inch TV in America. You know, they worship the gym, you know, because they think that they're getting in more shape. They don't know what to do without their phones. But just those three expenses right there can add $200 to $300 a month, or, you know, in euros that would be 150 euros or something like that, a month in expenses that could easily be gotten rid of just like that. Sure. And so that's a tangible way to deny yourself. Denying is actually decreasing your monthly financial needs, you know, and getting rid of stuff, you know, and getting rid of, you know, things that just really suck your money, you know, and when you do those, what you'll realize is that you'll start to generate money without actually earning anymore, you know, and that will give you some breathing room that people, but the question is are you willing to deny yourself? Because I mean, people will go to war over, you know, some of the dumbest financial things. It's like, but you don't have the money. Yeah. You know, but people will still do it. So you have to be willing to really deny yourself. Okay, so denying ourselves, but to what end? Just aesthetically, or to be kind of a monk, or why do you? Well, it really depends upon it really depends on the situation. Okay. If you're in dire financial, I mean, it's how many bare essentials can you go without? Sure. You know, if you are financially struggling, the range or the scale is determined upon the family. You know, I mean, if you have, I know people who have $40,000, $50,000 in credit card debt. Wow. I mean, that's at 20% interest every month. It's like, wow, yeah. That's just insane. You know, but yet they live off their credit cards. You know, they pay a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there, and it's just like, it's getting worse and worse and worse. You know, and it's like, you got to get rid of it. You got to cut it off at the source. You know, but people are so afraid to. You know, and so you have to look at your situation and kind of go, okay, you know, you look at where all your expenses are and go, what do I need to get rid of? You know, and that's the really hard stage for people, because it's like, you know, I mean, you know, it's like a lot of these people's lives are wrapped up in things like their phones or their gyms or you know, or their TV or like that, and just the thought of going, oh, I just couldn't live without that. Well,
yeah.
Multiple generations of people have lived without those things.
Absolutely.
You know?
And very much the modern Western culture would say, this is your right.
Yes.
You know, you deserve a break today.
Yeah.
You deserve this. And so you're saying the first step is to contradict that and say, in fact, you know, I don't need these things that maybe my peers have, or maybe that I'm continually preached at, to say that, you know, you need to have this, you need this to be happy.
Well, and part of the reason that we're in the situation that we're in is because we've given ourselves too many breaks. We've rewarded ourselves too much, and it's time to stop rewarding ourselves, because we're an over-rewarded culture. We're an over-sensualized society where we're just like, oh, I gotta try this new thing, or I gotta have this, or I gotta, you know, it's like, and the thing is it's unsustainable. You know, and the economy goes sour, and pretty soon we're exposed for really who we are.
Yeah.
You know.